Before The Walking Dead or Invincible, you thought I was going to do it, a 23-year-old Robert Kirkman would release a small image comic by the name Tech Jacket. Written by Kirkman and art done by E.J. Su, it was released in 2002 and only lasted for about 6 issues. But in Tech Jacket is a major supporting character and made multiple appearances in massive events, such as the Invincible War we see in Season 3 of the Amazon original. With him supposedly to make more appearances, I thought it'd be neat to go over and read some of the original comics. And I can safely say after reading these 3 runs, he's one of my favorite Invincible characters. So thank you for watching, I hope you have a good evening, and let's talk about the most underrated Invincible character, Tech Jacket. The original Tech Jacket run mostly acts as an origin story for Zack. We start with him talking to his friend David, happy that he just asked out his high school crush and is excited to see her after school. You know, Kirkman, this is a pretty nice opening, hopefully— oh. There it is. Well, hey, he has a pretty decent home life. I mean, yeah, Ed is a little silly, but he's a good oh. He used a loan shark to open up his tool shop. Well, hey, Zack. At least your day isn't the worst one out there, as a Geldarian ship is currently under attack against the Kresh, and makes a crash landing straight for Earth. Cutting back to Zack arguing with his mom where he treads off into the woods. Look, Zack, I know today was pretty rough, but hey, a walk can cool your head off and it can't get much— oh god, how many times is this gonna happen? So when the Geldarian ship crashed, Zack was caught in the middle. While it's illegal for anyone besides a Geldarian to adorn the Tech Jacket, the Geldarian gives it to Zack because the last thing he wants to see is a kid getting blown up, which, you know, is fair. Though this may be traumatic for some, Zack takes it pretty well. He learns that he doesn't have to take a shower again, which is a 14-year-old's dream, and he can even stand up to the loan sharks. Things are looking so good for him that he completely brushes off Rebecca. His dad, Ed, curious, takes him out to train a little. And when training by himself, he is ambushed by the Geldarians, looking to arrest him. As back in Geldaria, they learn that a Tech Jacket was rebooted after their scout ship was lost. Fearing the worst, they dispatch a small squad to investigate it. This obviously screams Green Lantern, especially with how Hal and Zack get their powers as an alien's dying wish. But according to E.J. Su, the original idea Kirkman had was actually supposed to be a Transformers story that never was picked up. Speaking of E.J. Su, I think the best thing I can say about this original run is definitely his artwork. It scratches that 2000s Western art taking heavy inspiration from anime. You can see that the most with his cover art, seeing how the tubing acts as almost a tendril covering Zack's body, seeing the metal pipes run across and intersect with the panels. Chef's kiss. A definite step up from Kirkman's original sketch, though I do hope the TV version gets a much-needed upgrade. It loses a lot of the charm of the 2 designs we see in the comics, looking more like an MCU nanosuit rather than anything else. But that's a whole other story. Getting back to Tech Jacket, he's currently under arrest by the Geldarians, and is being taken to trial for taking a Tech Jacket, believing that their primitive society would be doomed if it were to fall into the wrong hands, like the Kresh, who are currently on hot pursuit, dead set on finishing the job. Zack quickly realizes these guys are his only hope, so he helps them out and immediately turns the tide of battle, wiping out the Kresh with relative ease, and we soon realize that a 14-year-old is physically stronger than most of the galaxy. Due to his goodwill, the Geldarian Emperor pardons Zack, and we get a glimpse into the history of Geldaria. Starting as a theocracy, they flourished and lived a life of leisure, until they were attacked and they couldn't handle it in their current state. Geldarians are known to be frail and physically weak, but this is traded off for an aptitude for technology, leading to the creation of the Tech Jackets. A silver bullet against the galaxy intended to wipe them out, but now stuck in a stalemate with the Kresh, they ask Zack to help finish the fight. Zack agrees because, why not? He's 14, it probably beats algebra, and besides some initial growing pains, he learns pretty quick, and later on defends a moon base from a Kresh assault. Afterwards, Zack gets rewarded with medals for his service to the Geldarian army, catching the lure of Lynn, the Geldarian princess, and even getting a kiss from her as a token of appreciation. Zack is next seen meeting the Emperor again, saying that they found a way to teleport to the Kresh mothership, and with his help, they'll able to finish the fight with the Kresh. Zack, already tired of smurfing low elo lobbies, wants to get this done as fast as possible, and is sent out initially ambushed and outnumbered by unknown thousands. He is able to use his suit's full power and have his guns pop out of every single crevice, and a single blast is able to destroy the ship. Excited to return home, he makes his way back to Geldaria, only to find that the Kresh have made one last final counter-assault. He tries his hardest to save as many lives as possible, but after a mother and her child are crushed, he can't hold back anymore. Tosses a ship into another ship, finally ending the war. The Emperor gives a speech that they've entered a time of peace and can prosper without fear. While this is great and all, Zack has been gone for about 6 months. If this is the Kirkman I know, Ed is about to be found at the bottom of a lake with cement-covered shoes. And I might not be far off, as the moment he lands, he learns that his parents are gone. With no other leads, he heads out to the last place he can think of, that being his grandparents' old cabin. His assumptions would be correct, as he finds his dad standing out ecstatic to see him. For not seeing his kid for around 6 months, he takes it pretty well, but does blame himself for essentially abandoning their son. But at the end of the day, he believed he would be okay. Their meeting is cut short as a crushed ship is found on Earth attacking, and Zack has to finish the fight once more, just in time for his mom to come home with dinner. And that was it for Tech Jacket 2002. Yeah, Tech Jacket didn't do too well. It was cut prematurely, even getting as far as having the covers for issues 7 and 8 done, but deciding to prematurely end in just in case they were axed. It's pretty somber to read, as Kirkman talks about how he would love to return to the series one day. And for good reason, this was supposed to be his big break. While he would have steady work with Eric Larson and Rob Liefeld, he was still $30,000 in debt. But to be completely honest, I'm not the biggest on the original Tech Jacket run. It's pretty by the numbers and doesn't do anything new with its premise. It's more or less a young teen power fantasy. I mean, even Zack is bored of the story loop, wanting to get the crush over with as fast as he could. This is still a pretty young Kirkman, and he hasn't ironed out all his kinks. After the success of Invincible, Kirkman and E.J. Sue were granted permission to pick the series back up where they left off and continue the idea of a villainous Scavengine. The relaunch starts where the series last left off, Zack and his family having dinner right after the crush attack, even having his neighbors come visit. Everyone is surprisingly taking it well. I guess this is pretty common in the Invincible world. They're probably just glad that their family wasn't crushed by rubble to build character development. Though, as much things change, they stay the same as the Geldarians come to Earth, detecting that it was under attack from the crush, but once again, they weren't much help. Of course, they bring trouble as their mothership is under attack by the Scavengine, a beast that consumes technology, and the royal family is trapped in it. Zack, wanting to protect Lynn, heads out and despite his best efforts, does no damage to the Scavengine. They change plans and evacuate every Geldarian before letting the mothership be destroyed, scaring the Scavengine away. They celebrate their victory until they're stopped by the head of the GDA a random cop. For whatever reason, Cecil never talks to Tech Jacket once, but personally, I don't want to tell a guy how to do his job, but I don't know, the constant wars in orbit seems kind of important to Earth's defense. Though getting off on the wrong foot first, the Geldarians and townsfolk strike up a deal for them to stay until they can rebuild their mothership, giving Zack and Lynn time to spend together and build a relationship. After a couple of months, the Geldarians are able to return home. As a gift, they give Zack a space station to operate as Earth's Tech Jacket. The next issue takes place a couple of years after these last two issues, this being his tie-in the Invincible War. Starting with Ed running late, asking if Zack would like to grab a pizza, gets an unfortunate surprise once he reaches the station, seeing Zack fending off not just one, but two Invincible variants. Zack, fighting for his life, is sent straight into a giant crater, all while Ed is too busy theorizing that Omni-Man got extra busy during his time off-world. Too late to get help, and is back against the wall, Zack directs all his power into the Tech Jacket, releasing a massive blast that took out both of the marks, in hospitalizing himself. The next scene starts with the Thompsons and Lynn staying by Zack's side, hoping he makes a fast recovery. Ed's busy blaming himself. He feels awful for letting Zack get in that much danger and not even calling the Geldarians before it was too late. But Zack comes to his senses and reassures his dad by saying no matter what, he'll always like pizza. Once Zack recovers, he's still a little torn mentally after having to kill two mercs, which is a little hard to understand because this guy literally killed an entire army worth of Kresh, but I guess two Stephen Yoons is where we draw the line. Nevertheless, Lynn gives Zack an idea. While the Geldarians are here, they can help fill Zack's role, as by this point the Geldarians are regarded as a warrior race, and have been able to catch up to the physical might of a prepubescent boy, which goes a long way for Tech Jackets, meaning him and Lynn can have a vacation together in the Amazon to cool his mind. But this doesn't go too well, as the moment our lovers get busy, we learn two things. Despite Zack's status as a war hero, he's a coward when it comes to fencing, and that Mpreg is probably real in Geldarian society. Finding out they're incompatible, Lynn and Zack go their separate ways, both upset. Hey, Zack, buddy, I know life's looking pretty rough, but this vacation can't get much worse. Oh, you're getting called in during your vacation to investigate a small town. Hey, it's gonna be quick and easy. What can go wrong? It's just Kansas. The city is currently a crater. Well, whatever. Oh, the entire city's right above you, and he's gonna throw it at. Oh, well, Kirkman, you really outdid your. Wait, what's this? You're telling me this isn't written by Kirkman? Well, Mr. Joe Kenninich and Carrie Randolph, you two really outdid yourselves with living up to Kirkman's massive shoes. You ruined this guy's love life and killed him in your first 2 issues, so good on you. This guy up here is Null, and he was hired to retrieve the tech jacket from Zack's cold, dead hands. And he's doing a pretty good job of that so far. Expect a promotion, I guess. Until Ed contacts Princess Linda to help Zack out and buys him enough time to do a last-ditch move, commanding his dad to leave the station as Zack grabs Null and shoots up straight into it. Activating the teleporter, he teleports Null directly into the sun. Hopefully nothing bad comes from this. Now, clinging on to life, sad that his station and armor are now destroyed, the Geldarians step up and give him a new and improved suit and with a rebuilt station. As well, Lynn and Zack are able to rekindle their relationship, agreeing that despite them not being compatible sexually, they will still be together, deciding to have an open relationship purely for sexual release. Again, hopefully nothing will come back to haunt Zack. Ending Tech Jacket relaunch. I think this is a massive step up from the original Tech Jacket run, greatly improving both the villains and the sidecast from the original series. Seeing Ed beat himself up for putting his son's life at risk, despite him sacrificing so much just to make Zack's life easier, even giving up the shop and having to file for unemployment so he can purely focus on supporting him, shows just how much the guy cares for his son. Also, Princess Lynn has an actual character. Seeing her and Zack's love life struggle due to their alien physiology was an interesting approach that we don't see a lot in comics. Unless your name's Johnny Storm, then it's an average afternoon for you. Also, seeing her, despite their problems, stand up to Null, the guy who literally just killed her boyfriend with ease, was such a badass moment that made me like the character. Speaking of Null, I think he was the perfect villain to introduce into the series. He's not really a villain from his standpoint. He doesn't care for morals. He just believes what he's doing is purely business. All those people he killed in Kansas was not out of malice or to make them suffer. No, it was just a business exchange, like clocking into a timesheet. He just needed to grab Zack's attention the best way he could. Though this seemingly may be the end of Tech Jacket, we would get one more run with Joe Kenninich and Carrie Randolph, 2014 for Skybound Publishing. The final run of the Tech Jacket saga is possibly my favorite one, as is a culmination of the themes presented in the previous Tech Jacket liftoff. The run starts with a typical day for Zack and his father, fighting aliens and all that jazz before being juxtaposed with Zack being monitored by the tech mogul Mr. Crow, and his robot companion Stanley, looking at the Tech Jacket technology with great interest for their army. The next day, Zack sees a distress signal from Geldaria. A recording of Princess Lynn can be seen apologizing profusely while their planet crumbles. Before she's able to divulge any more details, she's escorted away and a black tendril attacks. Princess Lynn is presumed dead with the rest of the Geldarians. Now that same Colossus is on a path towards Earth, and enraged Zack heads out to get revenge for his girlfriend and the rest of the Geldarians. Zack enters the Colossus, throwing caution to the wind, and finds an entire city underneath. Zack gets a kind, welcoming gift and is dragged to the parasite wielding an ancient Geldarian tech jacket. Intrigued by Zack's newer technology, he wants to take it for himself and a fight ensues. With little difficulty, Zack is able to take down the parasite. Before Zack can get a thank you from the Colossus, Zack is taken by surprise and we can see it telepathically talking, demanding him to abandon his conscience and lend his tech jacket to his grand army. Before getting acquainted, a U.S. shuttle makes way to start attacking the Colossus. Thanks, Obama. And the Colossus takes the opportunity to get more soldiers for his grand army, taking control of them as well. Before the commanding officer gets integrated, he activates a nuke that takes out everyone besides the Colossus and Zack. Zack seemingly stranded in space. Crow's army is able to retrieve Zack and bring him back to the base. While Zack was fighting the Colossus, Mr. Crow was visiting the Thompsons' household. Taking advantage of the situation, he makes an offer. He'll save Zack, but if only they relinquish the rights to the suit. But seeing Zack stranded and feeling utterly helpless, Ed makes a hard decision and agrees. He thinks it's the best to put up the suit for good. We've seen what Zack has gone through. It's not an easy life to lead. These negotiations are cut short, however, as Lynn thankfully crash lands, destroying the Thompsons' household. Crow, now having Zack under his knife, tries taking the tech jacket for himself, but it's not the same suit he once knew, and tendrils start attacking the Stanleys. Things get worse for Crow, as a portal with the Colossus' army rushes in and Zack has to fend them off. Before he can get a word out against Crow for whatever he did, he makes it clear that he has Princess Lynn in his base, so he should rethink what he's about to do. Zack listens and rushes to Princess Lynn's side. She apologizes, and we learn that the Geldarians made the Colossus as a doomsday device, killing every Geldarian outside of a few remaining. Melancholy, Zack and Lynn return home, seeing the Thompson household being renovated. Ed is so excited about their new kitchen, he forgets to tell Zack that they sold off his rights. Zack is rightfully enraged, and it doesn't get much better for Zack. Joe Kenage, taking another page from Kirkman, we see the remaining Geldarian tech jackets return, and we are introduced to a new character by the name of Z, who greets Lynn in an interesting manner. Yep, Lynn has a new partner, and Zack's not taking everything too well. He has an outburst from all this stress and heads to his space station to brood.
Something's in my ass.
Okay, so reading the letter sent to Joe Kenage during this part, no one took this reveal lightly, saying that Lynn cheated on Zack, and while I can see, yeah, she kinda did. And it does raise some questions as well for the Geldarian physiology. They're still pretty young, and I don't think they ever discussed the boundaries they have. They've been away for at least a year by this point, plus this probably is the first time they've seen one another get intimate with another partner. I think if the roles were reversed, Lynn would also be pretty upset. It's not that Lynn doesn't love Zack anymore. I mean, she survived the apocalypse just to see him. She stood up to Null. She cares for him for a great deal. I think it's an interesting approach to relationships that we rarely see in comics. Anyways, back to Tech Jacket brooding. His mom rushes in and immediately sets him straight, calling him out for being a dick towards everyone, and saying, while yes, he can be mad at his parents, yelling at Lynn isn't going to fix anything. Plus, it doesn't help that the world's gonna end, and if he doesn't do something, he won't have anything to bitch about. Zack hears these words and heads out with the Geldarian tech jackets. After making contact with the Colossus, it goes as well as you expect, and they're attacked. While Z and Zack are currently too busy arguing who can be Lynn's little spoon to do anything of much help. This gets to a point where even Lynn, during this end of time scenario, just yells at the both of them to lock in and do their job. We see Lynn getting absorbed into the Colossus, finally having a council with it, learning that this device was not made to destroy the galaxy but to protect it, as known as the universe's immune system, and is dead set on destroying the sun and all life with it. Now, their new mission: work with the Colossus and, oh shit, our buddy Noel's back, and absolutely obliterates Zack. Now, with both Zack and the universe approaching its end, we cut to Ed in the hospital, but it's all the way back when Zack was born. We learned that there was complications during his birth, and despite it all, he made it just fine. Because as Ed puts it, since the very first day he was born, he was a fighter, because he's Zack Thompson. And with the tech jackets fully combining with the Colossus as the universe's immune system starts to swarm, they have a fighting chance finally. The ultimate expression of the Geldarian technological might and religion. Even Stanley lends his services to help out by combining with the Colossus, fully integrating himself, evolving to his next step, leading into the last issue. A year after, Zack is seemingly retired, no longer having to fight as he's pretty much bankrolled by Crow with toy sales, even goes on dates. Speaking of which, Lynn and him were able to work things out and come to an understanding. All seems well. Hell, Ed has his stuff together, reopening the tool shop and having a loan from an actual bank. Despite no longer being Tech Jacket, life seems to just be fine. Cut to a planet in a faraway system, currently under attack by the same swarm that Tech Jacket and Colossus fought. Well, they're in good hands because, of course, Zack would never have retired. Zack to this day still acts as the guardian of the universe.